There's a deep red drink that has quietly become one of the most researched natural drinks in heart and circulation science. Top athletes use it before big events to boost performance. Researchers at major universities have published study after study on what it can do, and more heart doctors now suggest it to people who want to support healthy circulation in a natural way. That drink is beet juice, and its power to improve blood flow is not a guess, not folklore, not wellness hype. It's measurable, repeatable, backed by science. But here's the part almost nobody talks about. As strong as beet juice is by itself, most people are still missing a huge part of its full potential. There are a few simple ingredients that can be added to beet juice that seem to increase its blood flow effects in a way researchers describe as synergistic, not just additive. That means the result is not just a little better, it can be dramatically better. These are not rare compounds. They are not expensive pills. They are ordinary ingredients that work with the same body pathways beet juice already activates, and together they can multiply the support your blood vessels get from every glass. In this video, I'm going to break down how beet juice works inside your blood vessels, in simple terms, why it is so effective, and then reveal 3 ingredients that can push those effects even further. I've arranged them from the most familiar to the most surprising. And the third one has a mechanism that is honestly amazing when you understand what is happening inside the body. So stay with me because the last part really pulls everything together. And once you hear it, you may never drink beet juice the same way again. Let's start with what beet juice actually does, because once you understand the foundation, the rest makes perfect sense. Beets are loaded with inorganic nitrates. When you drink beet juice, those nitrates move into your digestive system and then into your bloodstream, but the nitrates themselves are not the final active part. They have to be changed through a special body process before they can help your blood vessels. And this first step is one of the most interesting parts. It does not begin in your stomach, it begins in your mouth. Bacteria living on your tongue, especially near the back, contain enzymes that turn nitrates into nitrites. That step matters more than most people realize, and I'll come back to that later because it changes how you should think about mouthwash and timing. After you swallow, those nitrites reach the stomach, where the acidic setting helps turn them into nitric oxide. More of that conversion also happens in the blood and in the walls of blood vessels, where other enzymes and local conditions help create more nitric oxide right where it is needed. Nitric oxide is one of the body's key signal molecules for circulation. It tells smooth muscle around blood vessels to relax. When those muscles relax, the vessels open wider, resistance drops, blood moves more easily, and that means better circulation through the entire body. Muscles benefit, organs benefit, tissues benefit, cells benefit. Anywhere blood has to go, nitric oxide matters. And here is where it gets really powerful. The nitrate route from beet juice works separately from the classic endothelial route many other foods depend on. That makes beet juice especially interesting for older adults because even when one system slows down with age, this one can still keep working. Your body also has another way to make nitric oxide. This second route depends on the cells lining your blood vessels, called endothelial cells. These cells use an enzyme known as endothelial nitric oxide synthase and the amino acid arginine to create nitric oxide. Many popular foods and compounds work by helping this pathway, but there is a problem. As people get older, endothelial function often declines. That means this classic route becomes less efficient over time. Beet juice is different. The nitrate path can bypass that weak point. It does not rely on strong endothelial function in the same way, which is one reason beet juice stands out so much in circulation research. Study after study has shown meaningful effects. Beet juice has been linked to lower systolic blood pressure, often by several points. It has been tied to better exercise tolerance, stronger endurance, and improved blood flow to working muscles during activity. It has also been shown to improve flow-mediated dilation, one of the best measurements of how well blood vessels respond. And here is the exciting part. These effects can show up fast, in some cases within just 2 to 3 hours of a single serving. And they can stay active for much of the day. So, now that you know why beet juice matters, let's talk about how to make it hit even harder. Because the real secret is not replacing beet juice. It is supporting the exact chain of events that turns beet nitrates into a real blood flow response. And once you start supporting those steps one by one, everything begins to stack. This is where the first ingredient comes in, and it is probably already sitting in your kitchen right now. The first ingredient I recommend adding to beet juice is fresh lemon juice. It sounds simple. Maybe too simple, but the chemistry behind it is strong. Remember that important step where nitrites are turned into nitric oxide in the stomach. That step depends heavily on acidity. The more acidic the environment, the more easily nitrites are converted into active nitric oxide. When stomach conditions are highly acidic, the change happens faster and more fully. When acidity is lower, more of those nitrites can move through without being fully converted, which means some of the blood flow potential from the beet juice is simply lost. This is exactly where lemon juice becomes valuable. Fresh lemon juice contains citric acid, and when you mix it into beet juice, you increase the acidity of the drink before it even reaches the stomach. That can help create a better setting for the nitrite to nitric oxide reaction. In simple terms, more of the good stuff gets activated. More nitric oxide can be produced from the same glass of beet juice. But lemon does not stop there. It also gives you vitamin C, and vitamin C does more than support general health. It can directly help with this conversion process. It acts as a reducing agent, helping the chemistry move forward more efficiently. Research suggests vitamin C can improve nitric oxide production from dietary nitrites, and that support appears to increase as the dose rises up to a limit. On top of that, vitamin C helps protect nitric oxide from being damaged by free radicals, which means the nitric oxide you make may stay useful longer. It also supports collagen production for blood vessel structure and helps maintain another important factor used in the body's endothelial nitric oxide system. So with lemon, you are not just making the stomach phase stronger, you are also giving blood vessels extra support from another angle. And yes, the flavor changes too. The sharp brightness of lemon cuts through the earthy taste of beet juice and makes the drink feel fresher, lighter, and easier to enjoy. If you want to use lemon with beet juice, keep it easy. Squeeze the juice of one full fresh lemon into about 200 to 250 milliliters of beet juice. Stir or blend it well and drink it. That one change alone can make the formula more effective and more enjoyable. But now we move to the second ingredient, and this is where the strategy gets even smarter. Beet juice mainly helps by widening blood vessels. That is the star effect, but vessel width is not the only thing that controls circulation. Blood flow also depends on the blood itself, especially how thick or thin it is. Even if blood vessels are more open, thick, and sluggish, blood still does not move as smoothly as it should. That is where ginger becomes so useful. Ginger contains active compounds called gingerols and shogals, and these compounds have been studied for their effects on blood flow and blood behavior. Ginger appears to help reduce excessive platelet clumping. When platelets clump too much, blood can become stickier and less fluid. That can make it harder for blood to move easily through tiny vessels, and those tiny vessels are exactly where oxygen and nutrients need to be delivered. So now think about the combination. Beet juice helps open the roads. Ginger helps the traffic move with less resistance. That is a strong pairing, but ginger also brings another advantage. It has anti-inflammatory effects, and inflammation inside blood vessels can make them less responsive and less healthy over time. By lowering some of that inflammatory stress, ginger may help blood vessels respond better to the nitric oxide made from beet juice. And then there's another twist. Ginger can create a mild, warming thermogenic effect in the body. That warmth can encourage another layer of vasodilation through a different pathway. So now you have multiple forces working at once. Stay with me, because the third ingredient takes this synergy to another level entirely. There is also an early and very interesting idea in the research around ginger that deserves attention. The bacteria on your tongue are needed for the nitrate pathway from beet juice to begin. Without them, less nitrate gets changed into nitrite, and the whole chain becomes weaker. Some emerging work suggests ginger compounds may help support the health or activity of this oral environment. That science is still developing, so I would not oversell it. But even the possibility is fascinating, because it means ginger may not only help circulation after nitric oxide is produced, it may also support the very first step that allows beet juice to work in the first place. To use ginger, grate about 1 to 2 teaspoons of fresh ginger root and blend it directly into the drink. If you want a smoother texture, you can steep the grated ginger in a little warm water for around 5 minutes, strain the liquid, and add that to the beet juice instead. Fresh ginger is the better option here. It has more of the active compounds you want than dried powder. And flavor-wise, it changes everything. The spicy warmth makes beet juice feel more alive, more vibrant, more like something you would actually want to drink every day. Now here comes the third ingredient, and this is the one most people never expect. It is raw cacao powder. Not regular cocoa that has been heavily processed. not a sugary chocolate mix. Raw cacao powder. And the reason it matters is one of the most impressive parts of this entire formula. Earlier, we talked about nitric oxide telling blood vessels to relax by increasing a messenger inside smooth muscle cells called cyclic GMP. That messenger is what carries the relaxation signal forward, but cyclic GMP does not stay around forever. The body is constantly breaking it down using an enzyme called phosphodiesterase type 5. So the final relaxation effect depends on two things: how much cyclic GMP you create and how fast your body destroys it. Beet juice pushes the creation side. Raw cacao helps slow the breakdown side. And that is where things get really interesting. Raw cacao contains flavonols, especially a compound called epicatechin, and these compounds appear to help slow the activity of the enzyme that breaks down cyclic GMP. When that breakdown happens more slowly, cyclic GMP can stay around longer and build to higher levels inside the cells that control vessel relaxation. That means the signal to relax becomes stronger and can last longer. This is the kind of synergy researchers love, because the two ingredients are working on different sides of the same equation. Beet juice helps make more of the signal. Raw cacao helps preserve the signal once it is made. It is like adding more water to a tank, while also slowing the drain. The final level rises much more than either move could create alone, but cacao may do even more. Its flavonols have also been linked to support for the endothelial nitric oxide pathway, the route that depends on blood vessel lining cells. So now, the picture gets deeper. Beet juice is helping nitric oxide through the nitrate pathway. Cacao may help nitric oxide through the endothelial pathway. And at the same time, cacao helps keep the downstream messenger from being broken down too quickly. That is not just overlap, that is layered support. Multiple entry points, multiple mechanisms, one outcome: better vessel relaxation and better blood flow. Clinical studies on cacao flavonols have shown benefits for blood pressure, flow-mediated dilation, and circulation in the body's smaller vessels. And that makes this pairing especially appealing because instead of asking one ingredient to do everything, you are letting each ingredient do what it does best. Beet juice opens one door, cacao opens another. Then cacao also helps keep that relaxation message active longer. If you are still watching, this is where the full logic starts to click. Because once you see how each ingredient covers a different weak point, you understand why this mix can feel stronger than the sum of its parts. Cacao also brings extra support that often gets overlooked. It contains magnesium, a mineral involved in muscle relaxation, including the smooth muscles around blood vessels. That matters because tight vessels resist flow, while relaxed vessels allow blood to move more easily. Cacao also contains theobromine, a mild natural compound that may support blood vessel widening through another separate mechanism. And then there are its antioxidant compounds, which help protect nitric oxide from oxidative damage. That is important because it is not enough to make a nitric oxide. You also want to keep it from being destroyed too quickly. To use cacao, add 1 to 2 tablespoons of raw cacao powder to your beet juice and blend or whisk well. It will not dissolve as easily as lemon juice. So mixing matters. But once blended, the flavor can be surprisingly rich and satisfying. The earthy sweetness of beet juice and the deep bitter notes of raw cacao create something bold and complex, especially when the lemon and ginger are also included. And now if you step back and look at the full drink, you can see just how elegant the whole thing is. Beet juice provides nitrates that become nitric oxide through the mouth and stomach route. Lemon helps that conversion by improving acidity and adding vitamin C to support the chemistry. Ginger helps blood stay more fluid, lowers inflammatory stress, and may support additional vessel relaxation. Cacao helps protect the downstream signal, may add more nitric oxide support through the endothelial route residual, and gives extra compounds that favor relaxation and vascular function. There is very little wasted overlap. Each part has a job. Each part supports a different stage of the process. And that is exactly why the combined effect can feel so much stronger. This is not random mixing. It is a formula built around the full journey of circulation, from nitrate intake to blood vessel response to the actual movement of blood through the system. So here is the practical version. Start with about 200 milliliters of fresh beet juice or a high-quality beet juice with no added sugar. Add the juice of 1 whole fresh lemon. Add 1 to 2 teaspoons of freshly grated ginger root. Add 1 to 2 tablespoons of raw cacao powder. Blend everything until smooth and fully mixed. That is the basic drink. 1 serving a day is a simple place to start, and timing depends on your goal. If you want support during the day, take it in the morning so the boost lines up with your active hours. If you're thinking more about overnight repair and recovery, evening can make sense too, since the body handles a lot of restoration during sleep. Some people may even prefer a smaller amount twice a day. The key is finding a routine you can actually keep. Because yes, some effects from beet juice can show up within hours, but the bigger picture builds with consistency, better support for blood vessels, better response over time, better habits that stack day after day. There's also one small but very important detail people often miss. Because the nitrate conversion starts with bacteria on the tongue, strong antibacterial mouthwash right before or after beet juice can interfere with the process. It can reduce the very bacteria needed for that first conversion step. Regular brushing is fine, but harsh antiseptic rinses too close to the drink may cut down the benefit. That one detail alone can explain why some people feel beet juice works well and others do not notice much. Small steps matter. Tiny switches change outcomes, and that is really what this whole video is about. Not chasing complicated hacks, not buying endless supplements, just using a few smart ingredients to help the body do what it already knows how to do, only better. Quality also matters more than people think. Fresh beet juice made from whole beets is ideal, especially if the beets are high quality and minimally treated. But a good bottled beet juice can also work if it is clean, unsweetened, and not loaded with extra additives. Fresh lemons are better than bottled lemon juice because they bring more active vitamin C and a more natural acid profile. Fresh ginger root is better than dried powder because it usually holds more of the compounds you want. And raw cacao is not the same as highly processed cocoa. Processing can reduce the flavanol content, which means you may lose some of the very compounds that make cacao useful here. So, if you want the formula to match the science as closely as possible, those details are worth paying attention to. And then comes the final piece: consistency. One glass can do something. Regular use can do much more. The fast effects are exciting, no question. Feeling a difference in circulation within hours is powerful. But the longer game is where habits matter most. Over weeks and months, regular support may help build a better environment for blood vessel health, circulation, and overall vascular function. That is where small daily choices become bigger outcomes. And honestly, that is why simple routines often beat extreme plans. They're easier to repeat, easier to live with, easier to trust. If you have made it this far, you now understand not just that beet juice can help blood flow, but why it can help, and why these three ingredients can make the effect even stronger. This is the part most videos skip: the mechanism, the chain reaction, the reason one ingredient improves acidity, another improves flow, and another protects the message that tells vessels to relax. When you see the whole design, it stops feeling random and starts feeling intelligent. So let's bring it all together one last time. Beet juice gives the body the raw material for nitric oxide through the nitrate pathway, a route that stays useful even when age makes the classic endothelial route less efficient. Lemon helps more of that nitrate potential become active by improving acidity and adding vitamin C that supports conversion and protects nitric oxide once it is formed. Ginger helps the blood itself move more smoothly, reduces inflammatory stress in vessels, and may add a warming layer of circulation support. Raw cacao helps preserve the relaxation signal by slowing cyclic GMP breakdown, may encourage more nitric oxide production through another pathway, and adds extra compounds that support vessel relaxation and antioxidant defense. Nothing here is wasted, nothing here is random. It is one ingredient helping creation, one helping conversion, one helping delivery, and one helping the signal last longer. That is what makes the blend feel so complete. And that is why so many people are likely leaving results on the table when they drink plain beet juice without understanding what could be added to make it work even better. If this gave you a new way to look at something as simple as a glass of beet juice, then you already see the value. And if you are still here, you are exactly the kind of person who understands that the best health ideas are often not flashy. They are logical, they are repeatable, and they work with the body instead of against it. Try the formula. Pay attention to timing. Use fresh ingredients. Protect the mouth bacteria that start the process. And most of all, stay consistent long enough to let the full effect build. Sometimes the biggest shift in circulation does not come from one miracle product. It comes from understanding the pathway, then supporting every step of it with purpose. And once you do that, a simple daily drink can start to feel like something far more powerful than it first appears.